Hello, everyone, and it's great to be here. I say it's great to be here because, believe me, this is my first time of handling this show. That show it is Investigative Tidbits. I had a little bit of thing with that because, of course, as I said, this is my first time of handling the show. But the show, as we know, is a very important part of the Public Complaints Commission. Why? Because that is the show. This is actually the show that deals with the aspects of investigation that has to do with the Public Complaints Commission, that has to do with relating you to the commission. That is, of course, your complaint. And if you have a complaint, you know what to do. The Public Complaints Commission is always here to listen to you. We're here with Barrister Jane. Barrister Jane is, of course, a part of the legal team at the PCC, that's the Public Complaints Commission. And today she's here to enlighten us about some of the complaints that they've received, of course, from you out there. And for those who do not know, wherever you have complaints, don't keep it to yourself. Just run over to the PCC and let them handle that complaint for you. Barrister Jane today is in the house. My name is Lola Oduba. And believe me, you want to sit by your screens and listen to this because it will enlighten you a whole lot. Good to have you on the program, Barrister Jane.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's a great one because a lot of people do not know. A lot of people are really just beginning to know the PCC, the Public Complaints Commission. There's really been a lack of awareness about the commission and its activities and the relevance to the Nigerian people. So it's a great thing when people like you can come on and, really bridge that gap and, close the gap up and let them know that don't die in silence. Bring your complaints to the PCC and, let's have you look into it. So, Barrister Jane, you are, of course, in the legal unit.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about the work that you do. Assigned to the
Exams unit.
Exams unit.
Yeah. So when it comes to the investigative aspect of the PCC, which is primarily what Public Complaints Commission does, we handle matters pertaining to administrative injustice. PCC is empowered to investigate any allegations of administrative injustice from various establishments, government establishments, and statutory establishments, and primary sectors. So whenever there's a complaint and it's brought to us, we make sure to investigate the complaints and ascertain whether there's been any administrative injustice or any unjust act meted out to the complainants, whether it's true or not. And we do that by going into detailed investigation. So when complaints are brought to us, we go through it thoroughly and we make sure both parties are involved during the whole investigation process. That's the complainant and the establishment against whom the complaint is lodged against. That's the respondent now. So both bodies are involved. So PCC is more or less like the neutral body. We remain fair in order to make sure that matters are effectively resolved.
Fantastic. Now, can you explain your role as a PCC investigator assigned to the exams unit?
Okay. Well, as an investigator, when any case file is assigned to me, what I do first of all is to go through the complaints and ascertain whether there's a merit to the complaints. And then when I'm able to ascertain that, I have to also make sure that the matter falls within the mandate of the PCC, because we can only function within the mandates of the Commission within the PCC Act, our enabling Act. So once that is established as well, then I'll also go ahead to make sure that the complainants, the facts of the case are all there. Like if I'm not clear on some areas of the complainant's account of events that happened, I would have to contact the complainants and ask further questions on the complaint, or if I need the complainant to furnish the commission with more documentary evidence to back up his or her allegations, then I would have to ask for that. And then when I have all these things, when I have all the necessary, yes, the details and the necessary evidence, then I'll go ahead to contact the respondents, and I'll write to them first of all and inform them of the allegation made by the complainant, and give them the opportunity to write back and uh, tell us whether that was true or not. So when I have correspondences from both parties, then I will look at it, and I would have to do a report on my findings, my observations, and then I'll make a recommendation based on the accounts of both parties. If issues are joined, like if the respondent is also alleging that the complainant also committed a certain act that amounted to, or denying the allegation, then when issues are joined like that, we will then push for case conference whereby both parties will be invited to the commission. This is a part of the investigation process, and from there, matters are usually resolved.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you have many cases where you have more resolved cases in that case conference, or do you find that most times you have to take it a step further by going to the courts or something?
Before it actually goes to court, it must have gone through case conference. You've done all the investigation parts of the whole process, and tried as much as possible to see that the matter is resolved. And after which, a recommendation must have been made by the Honorable Chief Commissioner. And if after the recommendation has been made, and possibly one of the parties, maybe the respondent in most cases, is still not adhering to the recommendation of the commission, that's when we now push the case file to enforcement, and then the matter can be taken to court.
Fantastic. Now, what are the nature of recurrent complaints that you get?
Okay, you mean in exams unit?
Yeah, in the exams unit.
Okay, recurrent complaints we've gotten so far, mostly complainants that bring complaints against JAM.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Jam.
students, because
really?
there have been some mistakes in their names or date of birth. Sometimes when they try to resolve these issues themselves, it takes longer time and it keeps dragging. So when they come to the commission, and would usually write to JAM, and they would respond eventually, and the matter of been, in most cases, there's always been perfect and like
Peaceful.
expeditious resolution once the commission writes to JAM. Yes.
So aside from JAMP, any other recurrent that comes to your mind?
Well, there there's been yes, there's actually been this particular case with a school, but still JAMB was involved.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because this particular student graduated but was not able to go for the mandatory NYSC because there was a mistake in her date of birth as contained in her JAMB registration. So we also had to write to both JAMB and NYSC, and that was eventually resolved. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, walk us through a step-by-step process of investigating a complaint against various establishments.
Okay. When a complaint is made against any establishment, be it government establishment or private establishment, what we do first of all is to ascertain that the matter has merit, the complaint has merit, and also it falls within the mandate of the commission. Yes. If it falls within the mandate of the commission, then we look at if the complainant attached all relevant documentary evidence to support his or her claims. If all those are in order, if they are not, we'll have to contact the complainant. And in some instances, would have to invite the complainant to a case chat. Case chats, it's to like to ascertain further details from exactly the complainant regarding the complaint that he lodged in the commission. So from there, we'll contact the respondent, write to the respondent and ask for their own account regarding the complaint that was made against them. And when we receive their response, we would go through it and then inform the complainants about the contents of the letter from the respondent, and then give the complainant opportunity to also respond to the letter. So from there, if there is need for further investigation could be visit to locus in court. That's like going to the location where matters where the event that's being complained of happened, if necessary, or even visiting the respondent's office. That's on the spot investigation. We do that as well, and then we can also invite both parties to case conference as well. Case conference usually happens when issues are being joined by both parties, and then we would have to call both of them together to the commission to hear both of them out face to face. Here, the commission would act as a neutral body. And usually, in this instance, matters, we get to know facts of the matter more. And there, both parties would have to talk and respond to each other directly. So most times, the matters are resolved there and then, and the recommendation will be made. And there have been series of other, would have to go further with more case conferences. So from case conference, the recommendation can be made, and the matter oftentimes are resolved.
So you're saying that most people do not like to extend the case to, I mean, to a dead end where it now gets to court. In most cases, most people.
Yes, in some cases,
Okay.
it's matter have been amicably resolved once it gets to the case conference, because the respondent oftentimes will be made to see reasons why this matter has to be settled amicably. Because oftentimes when complaints are brought to the commission, the complainant always has the allegations brought are oftentimes it has a bit of
Some
truth in
merit.
it. Exactly. So we would have to make the respondent see reasons why you have to resolve this matter amicably through this mediation process, because you don't want to take it any further. It won't serve you. It won't serve you. It won't do you any good for this matter to be taken any further. So oftentimes the matter is usually resolved amicably. But there have been instances where we have difficult establishments that wouldn't want to adhere to the commission's recommendation. So in those instances, we push the case to enforcement, and they will take it up from there. And that's when the matter goes to court.
Fantastic. Now tell us, of course, some of the challenges that you faced during investigations.
Okay, so some of the challenges I've faced personally is, first of all, is getting a response from the respondent. Because some of them, I don't know why, but they tend to take their time to respond to the letter from the commission. And when they do respond, sometimes the response is, we acknowledge the receipt of your letter dated to so and so, we'll get back to you. And then it will take a while. We'll now have to write a reminder. So that would drag the matter longer than necessary. So we'll have to write a reminder. In some cases, you find yourself writing second reminder, third reminder, and then we'll have to go to the office that's on the spot investigation now. And sometimes when we go for on the spot, because most times when we go for on the spot is to inquire, why haven't you responded to the commission's letter? We've been waiting on you to respond to us so that we can take the investigation further. But you haven't responded to us and you give a reason. Sometimes we are met with resistance. Sometimes the person of authority that we're supposed to see might not be on seat. So it drags on. Even if you drop off a letter, sometimes you don't get a response. So that's a challenge, number one. And then another challenge we've encountered is when we ask a respondent to furnish us with a documentary evidence, sometimes they are not forthcoming immediately. Would have to take a step further before they can do that. And then sometimes when they are invited for a case conference, they won't show up. It would take a summons from the Honorable Commissioner before they would take a step to show up to the Commission. So all these are the challenges we face during investigation, and it derails the process of the investigation, and the matter drags longer than necessary.
But in dragging these matters, do they understand the implications? When do they begin to understand? That's a respondent now. Do they begin to understand the implications of not coming to the commission to settle amicably?
Okay, so oftentimes it's when the matter goes to enforcement. That's when they know how serious it is because they don't want to go to court. Because most times when we go to courts, in a court, we're able to establish that we have done due diligence to this particular complaint in investigating it to the very end and made recommendations. So they will know. They only act when matter has gone to investigation, unfortunately.
Sad. Now, how do you protect whistleblowers or vulnerable complainants?
Okay, so whistleblowers, how we protect them, we don't divulge their identity. We don't at all. When we get any information of administrative injustice from a whistleblower, what we do, we switch into proactive investigation. We'll write to the establishment in question, and it goes like this. We have information that so has happened in their establishments, and we direct for them to furnish us with any evidence to show that the allegation is false. And if they fail to comply, then we'll refer the matter to the necessary authority like the EFCC if it's a matter that has to do with embezzlement of a substantial amount, and then tax office if it's something to do with tax. So that's what we do, and we take up the investigation from there. And during the whole investigation process, the identity of the whistleblower is protected during the whole entire investigation process. Yes.
So there's no need for the whistleblower at any time to appear?
No.
Oh,
no.
really?
He's protected entirely. Entirely, yes.
Fantastic.
Because it's now a proactive investigation. The PCC, on our own, we are going into this investigation, and we are doing that within the mandates of the PCC.
Does this include the vulnerable complainants as well?
Okay, with the vulnerable complainants, the identity will be known, of course. So, but there's been a particular case where a complainant is still a staff of the establishment that he lodged a complaint against. And during the case conference, the Honorable Commissioner had to give a directive that the status quo should be maintained. The respondents, no further victimization of the complainant, and the complainant don't run outside discussing this matter anymore. Allow PCC to handle this matter effectively investigate it effectively and ensure that it's resolved amicably. So that's been an instance where a vulnerable complainant had
Was protected.
exactly.
Well, I mean, let's take for instance that the vulnerable complainant goes back to the organization. Obviously, since he works in an organization or an establishment, he goes back to this establishment and then he's victimized.
Okay, if he's able to prove it, then a PCC can also come in and say, we have information that the complainant has been victimized because of the complaint, and you are to
stop.
Put a yes, stop to it. You're directed to stop.
Where they don't,
that it's a recommendation.
Okay.
And so if they don't go by the recommendation of the commission, then that's when we push the matter to enforcement.
Fantastic. Can you share, I mean, with all of this, your experience is such a good thing to know that, the public can get to know the powers that the PCC have to protect their interests and begin to really see the commission as a place that they can run to for succor. When there are needs or they have some form of pains that they want to, just let the public know about and have the PCC resolve it for them. Now, you in your department and of course the exam unit and everything, I know you are particularly in the exam unit, but you do other things outside the exam unit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can you share an eye-opening, case you investigated and, of course, had a significant outcome? Yeah.
Okay, there's quite some of them.
Yeah.
That, there are some cases you handle and you're so happy with yourself.
Yeah.
At the outcome of the matter. Like, there's nothing as fulfilling as when a matter is amicably resolved, So there have been some cases that stand out. One it's the topmost on my list is a complaint against NIA. I must commend the NIA. That's an intelligence agency. Yeah. They were very responsive. They responded to our letters, even though it dragged on for a bit. The matter dragged on for a bit, and we had to push for case conference where both parties came together. It was eventually resolved. It was a case of non-payments of entitlements. So the matter was eventually resolved, and both parties were okay. The complainant was very happy.
He was paid.
Yes, he was paid.
I can imagine the joy.
Yes, the initial money he was paid, which he was contending was quite smaller than what he was entitled to. Yes, what he was entitled to. They were not actually interpreting. They didn't apply the NIA Act properly in calculating his entitlements. So we had to go deep and tell them, see, the rules applied to him while he was working with you. And during the payments, when his contract, because he was a contract staff actually, and when his contract was terminated, the NIA rule was not applied properly in calculating his entitlement. So in our correspondences, we were able to point it out, and they saw that was actually right, and they paid him.
Fantastic. Any other case that was resolved?
Yes, it's with a probate registry. It's about death benefits. So that dragged on a little bit, but eventually it took going for on the spot actually to the respondents, and it was eventually resolved. In fact, in one of the case conferences, the respondents on their own invited the complainant to follow them to their office. So they will go through the records and make sure that they said the reason they gave for the delay was that they were trying to ascertain that the complainant was not a front, that she was the actual person that was supposed to get
the benefits.
So that matter was eventually resolved amicably. And then there have been some jam cases as well, where there have been mistakes in names and date of birth. Once the commission wrote, those matters were resolved, because we'll get to call the complainant and to know if there have been any updates, and they will go like, yes, it's been resolved. And in one particular case, the complainant actually was answering from the NYSC camp.
Oh my
They're like, oh
gosh.
yes, yes, I've gone for NYSC.
Oh, so you mean
That
that
was
some
awesome.
people, it reminds me of the case in the Bible where some people went and were healed and didn't come back.
Yes.
So that means we have some
Exactly.
cases
So
where
sometimes
people
Mhm.
get their cases resolved.
resolved and they don't get back to the commission.
Oh,
Yes, they don't give us
yeah,
enough
yeah,
credit.
yeah.
Some people still get back to say, oh, I've been paid. Oh,
Mm,
my matter has been resolved. Some don't.
mm.
So you have to call them to find out so you can close your case file.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. The PCC, plays such an important role in the scheme of things. And for a lot of people that do not know, the PCC is not just dealing with Nigerians. I know that.
Yes.
We deal with foreigners
Yes.
living even
Even
in Nigeria
Yes.
who have a case and want to bring it, of course, to the commission
Yes.
to have it looked into and properly settled.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Barrister Jane, for coming to enlighten, of course, the audience.
Thank you so much.
And the next time we shall be bringing you, we shall be taking some of those resolved cases. Maybe we'll take a case and then just talk about this case and analyze it, and just take, okay, so what processes this? I mean, how did you go about resolving this particular case? We'll do the resolved cases because I know that the unresolved cases are still pending, and you may not want to divulge some information for privacy's sake and everything. But it's a good thing that Nigerians know the cases that have been resolved. They know the type of cases that can be brought to the Public Complaints Commission so that they can begin to enjoy the services of the Public Complaints Commission. And if you're just joining us, of course, the program is Investigative Titbits. And believe me, the Public Complaint Commission is situated in every part of this country. When I say that, I'm saying that 36 states, including the FCT, there is a Public Complaints Commission somewhere in that state. So you can access their services. It's free of charge. Nobody is being paid to look into your case. Nobody is being paid to attend to your case or whatever complaints that you have. The program again is Investigative Titbits. My first time of hosting the show was fun, actually. My name is Lola Oduba, and thank you so much, Barrister J, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
The Ombudsman's Radio continues in a moment. Don't go nowhere. See you again.